had some ideas and insights that I wanted to share with people. And I want to touch on some ideas that have been occurring, and hopefully what can be of value. And I'm gonna go ahead and while I'm at it, I'm gonna turn on the chat because a lot of times I've been in these in this venue, and I hadn't been engaging the chat. I thought that it was a stronger position to not look at the chat while I'm making this. But some people but there were when I look back, there was some interesting commentary in the chat that might have made the live stream stronger. But actually, the reason that I'm doing the live stream, this is actually to document. This is documented footage of ideas that are current to me, in a vein and in an interest of being creative and spontaneous, as to develop self-expression as a skill set, and also reasoning and original thought, but that too deriving from different influences and different iterations of maybe leaning building upon other content creators and other thinkers, past, present, and beyond, as a skill set, and in itself. And a lot, just as a like a testimony, is that a lot of things, the very, if you think about, like, a lot of times people, I don't know, I would imagine a lot of people are punished for their very talents. I wasn't the one to say that, but like, someone, I was looking at some of these the commentary in this, and on my channel, is I was looking back at recent live streams to see the corresponding commentary, and people would say, like, if a person is talking enough, is that person, that would have to be some form of talent. And I wanted to say that uh is that the in this life we're punished a lot for our very talents, and that might be an example, is that if someone would actually, and sometimes, like, people may offer things in good and bad faith, and then there might be a little bit of a half truth or a half sincerity in a statement a person would make, and that can be a little bit difficult, and people would come to anything for different reasons. So me personally, I don't engage with social media, if at all, unless there's not a learning objective, because I'm the type of person where I can't help but to be a polarizing person. Whether the word for not speaking is to be taciturn. So if I'm taciturn, I can draw a flag and make a person uncomfortable and have less than a favorable outcome, because it's not just what you intend, but like, a lot of life is kind of you can't, a lot of life is a chain reaction, and try as you may, you can't control things. You can manage things, and you can choose to approach things differently, but beyond that, it's like a reaction that is collaborative, and therefore it's beyond control, but it can be managed, and there can be skill but not control. So I it tries I mean if I go somewhere and I try to be very quiet, like an assassin, like a social assassin, I just go in there, and I just go in there, and I'm so cool, is that I just walk up to the girl, and then I take away the girl like that, and I didn't have to say much of jack shit like that, because she liked me the whole time because I wasn't talking, and then I got away with it, go like that. I didn't have to take any risk, and I didn't have to say anything wrong. I was just perfectly shut up it, and I got all the cool shit like that. I didn't have to risk anything. I had to make any mistakes like that. I'm always like that. That's how I get in and out like that, with the cool shit like that. I can do that, or I can try to be cool. And then I actually met I had an interesting conversation with somebody. He said, hey man, if you got to be you, man, because if you were like me, our ass would be fighting by now, so you got to be you. Then if I express myself, like, whether humorously or like with like long form ideas like this, I'm too talkative. So it's like, you can't win for losing, and you can't lose for winning, and you can't win for winning a lot of times, unless it's your fortune is favor, and therefore fortune is beyond us. I really think so. But to make a long story short, some people have different, you have like a different orientation and inclination and tendency in this life, for better or worse. So some people are the exact kind of people that they can't help but have a girlfriend, they can't help but have a job, they can't help but be sturdy in places, they can't help but be in trouble, different things like that. And so according to Osho, the thinkers, that people who are like expressive, like what I'm doing, like long form, like prose like that, that's a form of expression, expressive. But just to be expressive at all in any way is polarizing. It can't help but be polarizing. So you'll people have people that are naturally and soon drawn to you, and naturally and soon repulsed by you. But the worst would actually be indifferent, like yeah, that's what they said. That's actually the worst thing like that. But you can't help certain things, but all you can do is try at different things. But that too, within all that, good, bad, or ugly, a lot of times it's our very talents that we get punished for, and that's why they'd be worth anything. Because if it was that easy, man, if you were just born the coolest, uh if you were just born a Jack, and you never had to try nothing new to be New Jack, how could you ever be New Jack City? You know, you had to you had to risk different things, and you had to like it had to be to have value, it had to be difficult. So all I'm saying is that right now in life, you have like different trends, like as a people and as a culture. And right now, the trend is to not talk, is to be very shut up, and like kind of like to be almost like a computer. Like a lot of people are like, hey man, AI is the devil, but also don't say a damn thing and just be so efficient with all your words. Only say one, two, and you get to four without even saying three, one, two, four. I skip, and I'm very efficient like that. You don't even say too much of any extra words. But a computer is more efficient than anything, if that. But I think that the reason that there's such a priority on being shut up, it is because actually we have access to so much information, so much communication, so much talking, so many books, so many words. Like there's a great author. There's an author named Naomi Klein. She wrote a book called No Logo, that's talking about like some of the aftermath, that's called externalities of different businesses, like some of your real, like if you want to talk gangster talk, right? Like a lot of people, they would make like gangster rap is not to get in a car and go victimize the poor people. Gangster is start you a Model T car, whatever you have an idea for, start you a new Model T car. Become a tycoon, become the richest person in the world, a baron, and inherit this and value yourself of your own wealth to your own future progeny. They're so influential that they now have corporations around the world. Those corporations dispossess people out of their own livelihood and standpoint to experience existence. But then you have some savvy people, creative people, and because of the implications of work contract, you can't actually get over them tit for tat. As far as like a lawfare goes, or like even just straight up intimidation, you have to do horrible, wicked shit, wholesale like that. Very efficient, organized, cutthroat, killer shit like that. Big old businesses like that. That's the real killer shit, and that's what Naomi Klein had a book about that. And but she also said, man, there's just too many damn books out here, man. There's way too many books that exist. So there's two, that's a deeper thing that she said. She said that, hey man, she was a great author, Naomi Klein. She had No Logo, and she also did one about shock, because like every time we have crazy shit, like we had Hurricane Katrina and the pandemic, it is anticipated and understood that people will exactly become buku rich. So that's the reality. People become buku rich wherever there's fucking up. There's people that get to fuck. But on top of that, that's anticipated by people, but she had a book about shock doctrine, about how different shocks are consciously introduced to us, and then the trauma, people get paid off of trauma. Like even like all these people that are like concerned about like people's past trauma as children and stuff like that, your past trauma as a child is very important, because you're wearing that, your spirit is wearing that. And the reason that the damning this thing, right, people will come on the channel like this and say, man, what is this dude talking about? Like, what has someone got to say about this? So they're saying, shut the hell up, stop expressing yourself, because I don't like the way you choose to express yourself, even though it's your prerogative nowadays, because it's your prerogative how you would approach things, right? But actually that's being traumatic, because what trauma is that trauma is an experience that is confronting your identity, such that there's a discrepancy between your instincts, your inspiration, your interest, and the way you understand yourself and others, and therefore have the courage to practice interfacing with yourself and others. So what was damning, was punitive about trauma, more than the experience, way more than the experience itself, is that it stifles you from being congruent as a person in your expression. If you obstruct a person's expression, you are shorting their disposition, and that in your social reality, your professional reality, your lived reality hinges on your experience of yourself being experienced by others, and the feedback of that. So if your disposition is altered, that is different than your natural inclination, there's going to be a constant conflict within yourself to get to the point of being congruent, more even significant than to express yourself or be creative or draw pictures or write songs or make movies or all the things you would dream about, anything creative at all. What's more significant than that is your congruence, because all that only has value based on your congruence. I made certain similar statements about that, saying that that's the value of being a fighter. A fighter takes life and death chances, so that their word would mean something. That is, so that their expression would be convincing, and therefore realize we're healthy by what we are, getting to exist as we are, and that's realized upon expression, self-expression, the way you would. Nobody can express yourself the way you would, the way you could, the way you need to, which is the way you need to, in the way you could, but in the way you should. But that too only by practice, and also by congruence of person, your identity, your mind, your will and emotions, your identity, your voice, and your instincts. They have to line up like that. But you actually have to practice anything, including that, and you have to take chances, including that. So if you have an experience that you haven't come to terms with, that is, you haven't communicated your experience, you can't be enough. You can't be really. You're not really anything until you would communicate it, because you're not anything until you're understood to be something. In your mind, you're John Wayne, but you don't get to really be John Wayne, the feeling of John Wayne, until you see yourself looking like John Wayne to other people and being engaged as John Wayne, therefore acting like John Wayne, and the feedback of that. Now you're John Wayne. You get to be John Wayne now, if that's your feeling, and you have the standpoint and opportunity to express that, and the courage, because no, there's actually no opportunity without struggle. You got to fight for your right to party. You also have to fight for your right to express yourself, which is to party. That's what's damning about trauma like that, is that something about that experience, it's so embarrassing that you can't share that experience with another person. That's a deep thing, right? Imagine this, right? A lot of people would be scared to be incarcerated, right? Imagine you were incarcerated, right? And someone come up to you and be like, hey man, hey, do you get down like that? What do you mean? No, but you can be honest, like with me, like, do you get down like that, right? Is like, do you get down like that? You can tell me. I mean, like, I like human beings. Like, I'm attracted to, like, I'm attracted to that, but that's not my life like that. But I mean, like, have you ever done that and that with a man before? Have you, whether you're of any age or stature, any gender, have you done that with a man before? Have you? No, not with a man. Oh, all right. Would you want it right now? I mean, like, do you want to, like, well, I'm saving myself because I realize that you can do like one of three things. You can go up, you can say the same, or you can go down. You can share what you are with a partner or a group, and then you have blessings that come with that, but also you have compromise that come with that, because there's compromise with anything, a relationship with other people, another person, a group of person, or yourself. There's compromise and give and take with that, blessings and shortcomings, and exposure and safety that comes with all that. But me personally, and also some people have said that to bless others, sometimes you have to be self-interested to get to this standpoint to bless others. That's been said well by a lot of people. But me personally, I have realized that when I share with another person a lot, or other people a lot, it doesn't come back, it doesn't suit me. But that too, when you share with another person, you express yourself is the greatest of sharing. But even if you were to express yourself with a partner, you become vulnerable to that person. You're humbled by that person. You're each humbled by one the other, but such that you're now a part of one another, but also humble by your relation to another. And that person has a pull with you that's different than any other person, because you've now bonded to that person. But there's duty that comes with that if you're honest with that. And I'm not saying that it's better to have one partner or a lot of partners, but be true to the fact that if you have a partner of an experience of anything, you're changed by that. And if it had been in love, then you're in a position to be supported by that person. But if you're not in love and they cast you to the side like that, you're being that's something of a mockery, because a lot of love making is promising. Hey baby, let me kiss you up and down till you say stop. But what are you doing with those kisses? You're saying, hey baby, this is forever. I love you, right? This moment's forever, right? I'm all over you, right? But what are all those kisses? You're promising each other. You're promising that with your body, right? You're promising. But then, hey man, so I'm gonna go out here. Peace out. Don't forget your toothbrush. Your biatch. I like biatch. It's your biatch. See you later, biatch. But don't. So you just dropped them off like that, right? Hey man, take your shit and get out of the car like that. You know we have fun, but daddy gotta, you know what I'm saying? Gotta go like that. And it can't. You got time to keep taking your Uber. You just call the Uber like that. Just out of the car like that. Damn man, you see how he did me like that? Old boy like that, be sweating me like that. But he just dropped me to the curb like that, man. But it's rough like that. But some people like it rough. That ain't the worst thing. You just got dropped off like that. Now you got to have rock and roll, and now you got the hard knock that come with that too. But that's still a lesson. That's still a companion too. Real rock and roll is a companion. Guitar is a companion. When people say Mary Jane, you're both married. Some people don't get no partner. Some people don't get no girlfriend. You don't get no damn girlfriend. No, not for you. Fuck you. This and that. Fuck you. No damn girlfriend for you. Fuck you. I used to have this math teacher like, hey man, it's about to be finals, and if your ass had to study for finals, you get what you get, and that's the rest of your life with your bogus ass mark in my class till you get it how you live, sucker. And also, don't forget that it's about to be football Friday, so don't miss the game. You might see me at the game, but also don't forget to study, because they have been like that, and it is what you get like that. So I have math teacher like that say, "There's how about real with your future, but don't forget to cough up your tuition, and you have to pocket for the tuition with the debt and tuition, and don't forget about that shit either. But you probably don't have to because they got accounting of anything. But you get how you live, fool." So some people don't get more than that, but you got Mary Jane as your companion. Some people don't get more of a companion than Mary Jane. Let the man have Mary Jane like that. Don't cut too much of a problem. The man all didn't want more than Mary Jane. Let it have Mary Jane like that. Or sometimes you just get the guitar like that if you're affluent enough, or you get nothing. But that's not the worst thing. But just be honest, is that you're wanting to make all these promises, love making, and you may not be with someone when they need you like that, even though they're not in love with you and bonded to you. You may not be with them forever. So do you really want to make yourself that bonded to someone, that vulnerable to someone, as you're knowing they're not about to be with you? They can't be with you. They can't even handle half the shit you've been through. Or do you want to have that rough shit and let them have that, and also let yourself have not having them? That's not the worst thing either. That's another path. But just be honest about that. Do you love me or not? Are you wanting to be with me or not? What is it or not? Is this some bogus stuff? Is this gonna make me stronger or weaker? Or is it just gonna make me weaker? But that also can make you stronger. Nothing's good or bad. You choose what you make. But if it's somebody who was that for it, but hey man, but do you get down like that? For real, do you get like that? I mean, do you want to? Cause are we about, is this, nah. Because for me, you can build yourself into a great person. You can throw it on the floor. You can share with another person. Or you can share with a partner, a friend, a significant other, significant others, same gender, different gender. You can share with a group of people, whether a team, colleagues, an organization, or you can throw it on the ground with a shotgun wedding, shotgun wedding, first night stand. There is such a thing called first night stand. And then or you can self-love. And self-love is not as bogus. People, all people, according to Osho, are some combination. See, all people are all things. You are all experiences, time, places. You're actually all genders and all persuasions and all creeds and all orientations, because whatever makes you you, the fact that you're hetero, anything, there's a correspondent to that, that is what is the opposite of that, or the same of that, as you're being attracted to. But the meaning, there's no meaning to be hetero anything if there's not also this many other genders. But that also, those other genders have no meaning if there's not also this other thing over here. And any combination have no meaning unless there's also this combination and the lack of theirs. So you have asexuality that can be synonymous or similar to celibacy, which includes a vow and has some of those protections I was talking about for someone who would consign themselves to a relationship with divinity. It could be like the Holy Mary Jane, or anything. You're content to consecrate yourself and consign yourself to a destiny of experiencing life with no more of a companion, to your understanding and your sensation and your self-challenging that is experienced as faith or being true to something. That's not the worst. Even like a samurai or a craft or a discipline is along that line. That's a vow, but you're protected by that vow. Or you just abstain. You don't know what you want to do. You don't know what you want to not want to do. You're doing okay. You're doing it, but you're managing right now. You have opportunities. Sometimes you say that, sometimes you know, but you're just simply abstaining. That's abstinence. The sacred name for brahmacharya is being avowed to what's beyond, to the creative force Brahma, in Bharata Dharma, the teachings of some of the teachings of India. That's different degrees of asexuality. You may say also that you may get to a point where sometimes people struggle to be honest with, or to just recognize that their taste and appetite for love and sex, it can be affected by your body and in different circumstances in your life that are different degrees of asexuality. But then you have like and then but that also gets onto, and it's not different than autosexuality. That is like self pleasure, right? But then you have, that's the first form of development for a human being, because you would have discovered likely your sexual organs, your genitals, what you would have discovered likely self stimulation before any other stimulation. Then likely for a normal, broadly speaking, generally speaking, course of human development, your secondary experience of being excited with your genitals would be with members of your similar gender, because you would likely be finding yourself in privacy, isolated, and sometimes curious, if not finding eroticism with members of your same sex, likely because normally children are reared with predominantly and find themselves in close quarters predominantly, sometimes privacy predominantly, as it serves them and does as appropriate, and sometimes not, for negligence or worse, or just actually natural development with members of their same gender. Then they migrate from that to being heterosexual according to Osho. So the natural course of development for sexual arousal for a human being is to go to auto, to homo, to heterosexual for a heterosexual being. I'm not that's broadly generally before some of the sexual revolution had proliferated now to where we have experienced, but also defined and experienced and defined for ourselves and undefined older iterations to now some of the freedoms we have now. But some of the freedoms that we have now, even to enunciate that, to speak as I am, it wasn't conceivable in the past because there wasn't a vicinity to enunciate these ideas, share them, get feedback, and because enunciating something is also part of hearing it. Um, but all I meant to say is that one thing gives meaning to another thing, but also all things are within anything. But so if you're just honest about that, is that you can be part of a partner, a friend, a group, or you can throw things away. You can do sex work if it's legal, if you chose to, and you can be desecrated like that. That's part of arousal too. Desecration is part of arousal. That's not wrong. Or you can conserve yourself, you can save yourself, you can keep yourself to yourself. You can that's another form of enjoyment of being strong. And then you can also do any of those other things that as you choose to, as you're healthy enough and viable to do so. So it's not wrong to conserve yourself to yourself unto yourself. So for anyone who's wondering about like my persuasion, is that I have had experiences that would be reminiscent of sensuality and eroticism with members of my same gender when I was a child. That it wasn't sponsored by or supported or known to adults, but I found myself in those situations as a very small child. That probably would have had to have an impact on my development. But that too, I had experiences with members with members of my same gender and opposite gender as a small child, then with members of opposite gender as a more latter child, adolescent, teenager, and young adult, such as I made love with other members of an opposite gender of a young adult. But I haven't had experiences with members of an opposite gender as an adult, or members with an adult as a child. That's my background for anyone who's. But I think certain things are kinky and sexy and shit. So I like all that shit. All that shit is attractive to me. It's kinky to me. All that shit is sexy to a lot of different things are kinky and sexy to me. But that's not my experience. But that's my orientation. But not my experience. There's a difference. Some people can be, according to King Noble, you can be it's different what your orientation and what your comfort with, what you're familiar with interfacing with, is different than what you're attracted to, is different than what you're comfortable interfacing with. That's a key distinction. I got There's a book called The Ethical Slut, and like some people they reach for that when they say you're presenting. You're a lot of people, you might heard the word cis. I think that means that's like your original. You might not know what cis means. That means you're the normal old normal normative. I also want to talk about normative in this video as the broader socializing goes, and the orientation and the configuration of relationships is part of a broader regulating force of normalizing. That is what's appropriate. This a very appropriate society. We are not recently appropriate. We've always been a very appropriate society, and we've been punished for our convincingness as being appropriate and inappropriate, as is ethical and non-ethical, and legal and not legal, and sanctioned and non-sanctioned. There's always been a discrepancy, but also a need to have us be these appropriate people like that. That's part of how we exist together, but also how we thrive and sometimes perish. And that's a perpetual conflict. But within that, you have the older iterations of what would be called quote unquote a normal experience of a man and a woman, and that had been arbitrary then, form fitted then, and the people would got the better and worse end of that then. That created different forms of advantage and disadvantage then and now. But then now it's been tolerated to have different things. But that I a little bit diverged. Oh, but within that, you're what's attractive to you and what you're comfortable with interfacing with and or have experience interfacing as, there can be a difference. So when people say that you're cis presenting, you present yourself as a traditional person, as normal, understood the older understood iterations of a man and a woman. If people would be frank, a proper man and a proper woman. I don't mean that. I'm just saying that that's what that'd be called, a proper man and a proper woman, as broadly, but also probably falsifiably socially understood. That you may present yourself as that way, but you're attracted to something different. So they're saying presenting is that that's fake, that you look like that, but you actually feel like that. You're actually not fake to look like something and be attracted to something different. There can actually be discrepancy by what you're attracted to and what you are are comfortable with and even convincing as and viable to interface as. There's a difference there. But me is that I'm attracted to a lot of things that would be different than just a man and a woman, but I have experience with, and I think I have preference for experience of a man with a woman as a man and a woman. To me, I'm not only necessarily saying anatomically male, but a person that is a masculine being and a person that is interfacing as a feminine being, more so because we're always on a spectrum. I like and aspire to that, but that's not all of what I'm attracted to. So someone just say, "Hey man, are you attracted to that stuff like that?" I respect you enough to be honest. Say, "Yeah, I've thought about that. You might call me curious. I'm just that curious. It's curious."